Next would be Christelle May. Christelle May, please turn on your camera and also your microphone.
Hi, sir.
Yes,
Good
welcome.
evening. Hi,
Okay.
Mandy.
Hi, Christelle. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you. I'm good. Excuse me. Let me know whenever you're ready and I can start.
You can hear me properly, right?
Oh, yeah, it's very clear.
Okay, loud and clear as well.
Yeah. All right, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, think so. I have to be. No
Okay.
choice.
All right. Yeah, you're ready. Okay. How do you heat and cool the place where you live?
Well, I live here in UAE, so it's basically a hot place to live in. It's a desert land, so mainly it's to cool the area. So with the use of my air conditioning, I would have to turn on the AC and adjust the temperature accordingly on how I felt, whether it's warmer or cooler. So depends on my feeling, I guess, on the mood as well.
Good. Okay. And are there other methods which could be used?
Well, other methods are just to open the windows, I guess. If it's a bit cooler, sometimes my air condition would be broke and would tend to chill most of the time. So I have to open my window here and somehow let out all the coolness somehow be subsided, or it's basically, yeah, one of those two things, I guess.
Okay.
And
Okay. And are you interested in the news?
oh, yeah, definitely. I'm interested in the news, especially the international ones, as we have this coronavirus still ongoing. So I'm really, really waiting for the vaccine to be released soon so as to end all this pandemic and this craziness that's happening around us all over the world.
Good. Me too. And then, how do you usually receive news of the world and why?
Well, mainly we have the television with the use of the internet as well, the technology, as nowadays we can receive it with these type of communication with the breaking news on the broadcast and also in the social media. Nowadays we can see news feeds even in Facebook, or it's everywhere, I can say. So maybe Facebook or other forms of social media as well, but just be careful with the fake news, I guess.
Yeah, very good. And then, do you think this will change in the future?
Well, with regards to future, I think it will keep on improving. We don't know. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball to guess what's gonna happen for the next coming years, but I hazard a guess maybe it will keep on improving. I can see in the movies like the use of holograms, like as if you're just speaking to the person right in front of you. So I'm thinking like maybe it will go as far as that situation might be.
Good. And do you think the news you receive is reliable? Why or why not?
Well, it depends on the source of news. Mainly if it's legitimate, like the use of the newspapers, which we don't have here in the UAE. It's depends on which source are you following. It's but mainly if you are looking at the BCC News or ANC, depending on the news channel you are trying to watch, and you have to see whether this um, company is reliable or has a track record for such a long time. Then definitely I would have to say that they are reliable sources.
Good. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to part two. Do you have something to write with?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, good. And I will find my timer. And when Jeff puts up the question, I will give you a minute. Okay, can you see it all right?
Okay, talk about a small accident or injury you have
I can,
suffered.
okay, I can read it to you. All right, talk about a small accident or injury you have suffered. You should talk about what happened and why, what you did immediately afterwards, whether there was any long-term damage, and what you learned from this event. And you can have a minute now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Sorry. All right. So whenever you are ready, Christelle, you can start and I will start the 2-minute timer.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I remember this incident that I had. It's roughly around 3 years ago, and I was still new here in the UAE. So I'm fond of biking. I tend to do it as a form of exercise and recreational activity as well. So it happened during a nighttime when we were having just trying to roam around the town. And one time when we were about to go home, I passed this pedestrian crossing, and suddenly I was hit by a car while I was still on this bicycle. And so what happened was the pedestrian is there. I passed through, and the cars are stopped because of the traffic. It's in the intersection. So I passed through, and then I just don't understand. With just a snap, it happened. Like I was already on the floor with my bike, still riding on it, and oh my god, it's still vivid in my head right now. The car still keep on pushing, and I remember my feet is almost it's near the what do you call this one? It's near the wheels itself. So I was thinking, my God, if one more second, it's gonna crush my foot. And so suddenly it stopped. I was under the car, and there were a lot of people that flocked in the area. I was really, I was really shocked with what happened. And so everybody went there and tried to help me out. It's like I can still the scene as if you can see it in the movies. Like everything just slows down, even the sound. They were screaming my name, Crystal, like that.
No. Okay, good.
Good thing, really, that
And
nothing major happened that
yeah,
time. It's just made minor scratches, but there's no fractures,
okay,
and I just really learned the lesson on not to risk about trying to cross like that. And it's
good.
like a second life, and I was really lost for words. For I was so grateful with the people who helped me out, and
Hmm.
somehow I was relieved that nothing major happened to me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we're past the time. Oh my gosh, you're making me feel like I'm gonna cry here. Everyone's telling such
Sorry.
emotional stories. Okay, good. Okay, good. I know it's hard to talk about something that is still in your mind, and it
Yeah.
brings up so much emotion while you're talking about it. So you want to think about that. Well, I'll talk about it at the end, but let's move on to part
Okay.
3 really quick. Okay.
Mhm.
And what measures does the government take to reduce car accidents?
Well, there are a lot of things as far as I know, that the government has been trying to implement to prevent these accidents. As in the Philippines, there are quite a lot of traffic road incidences. So they're trying to implement somehow the use of these traffic lights and implement fines as well to those violators who would not abide by the law. They should also implement they have also implemented, sorry, some pedestrian crossings where there would be a dedicated area where the people can safely cross in the roads. And they should also have their vehicles be checked in a regular basis so as not to have other major accidents wherein, for example, their brakes should be checked every now and then so as to continuously drive safely in the roads and avoid such accidents in the area. Mm, on top of that, the government had also, what else? I'd say they had also made sure that the other vehicles and my god vehicles and the drivers themselves be oriented with the traffic rules and regulations, and they have to make sure that those new drivers that are taking the exam for having their driver license, they um they should really pass the stages and the proper steps so that they'll be able to drive their vehicles safely.
Good, excellent. And do you think these preventative measures are effective? Why or why not?
Well, it mainly depends on the area, I'd say. As here in the UAE, as compared to the Philippines, here in the UAE, the people are more obedient with the law as there really is um, giving out the fines. They are strict with this implementing of the rules, and that there are cameras everywhere, as you can see, so as to catch you with every violation you would have, even just trying to beat the red light. And so, as compared to the Philippines, even though how many regulations or rules they would try to implement, it depends on the people around, I'd say, that they are, if nobody's watching, then they'll just try to uh, go in their own way and simply just don't follow around. So it mainly depends on the area on what we're trying to talk about.
Okay, good. And then what sort of medical facilities are there in your country?
Well, there are tons of medical facilities that we have, from hospitals to clinics to other uh, aesthetics, I'd say. But mostly we have been focused with the hospitals, as these are the emergency care workers and would give you services that are for the immediate and for the emergency situations, like anything from giving birth to any accidents or other health issues as well. So it's mainly focused on hospitals that caters to such services, may it be from emergency up to operations, I'd say.
Good. Okay. And then by what means does your government obtain blood supplies?
Blood supplies. Well, we have a lot of, I'd say, as the government are now actually encouraging the public to give such blood donations so as to extend life and to give to those who are in need. The government are actually also trying to, as the globalization that we have, they have been in touch with the other countries as well, so as to trade or somehow ask help from the other countries who is also gonna help us at the same time. And let's say blood components, it's mainly free, as the people would just have to donate their bloods and be tested whether they're positive or negative for such communicable diseases like HIV or venereal diseases, which would disqualify you from giving or donating such um, blood products.
Okay, good. And is the standard of medical care in your country good?
I wish I would want to say yes, but between you and me, no, we clearly lack medical facilities and services in the Philippines, as it has something to do firstly with the budgeting of the government, as I have been seeing in the news that the budget is not being properly allocated to the healthcare sector. Somehow they have put it in other aspects or other categories of the society, of what the society needs. And right now, as we can see in the coronavirus pandemic, the government has been handling the pandemic poorly, that it makes everybody suffer. And I hope that the government would be able to look on it on a deeper level and somehow give importance to us healthcare workers, and give much attention to what we really need. As you see, this kind of emergency, we are really ill equipped with everything that's been happening around us. So my answer
Good.
would be no.
Okay. And the last question, in what ways could this medical care be improved?
Well, there are tons of things that we can do to improve such facilities that we have. But firstly, we have to improve our budgeting, the allocation of the money that the government should put into healthcare sector. They should empower the nurses, the doctors, and the other healthcare sectors to work for our own country and not to flee the Philippines, I'd say. And secondly, they should provide more jobs to us so as to give more services to the Filipino community. And thirdly, we have to build hospitals and improve the facilities by uh, getting the proper supplies that we need, import if we have to improve the facility as well, and try to get everything that is necessary for a facility to operate well, like all these machines, x-rays, and any other medicines that we badly need for the facility. If we have to import from outside, then do it, or try to find other ways locally so as to somehow also increase our economic level, and increase our economic level and give service, the right service that the Filipino community badly needs.
Good. Excellent. Well, that concludes your speaking portion. You're done. You can take a
Thank you.
breath. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Awesome. Well, I will say you have no lack of things to say. You have a lot to say, and that is good. So, good job there. You're not struggling for content, or um, you don't have any difficulty developing your ideas. I'm sitting here thinking you're done, and then you keep going. So, you had a lot to say. So, that was good. I will go over part one. So, heating and cooling the place where you live, and are there other methods which could be used? And then you were talking about that you live in a desert land, and you said air conditioning, and you also said AC. So that's a good way of using different vocabulary there. And you said it depends on my feeling. And one thing I wanted to ask Jeff and you and everyone else, you said that you live here in UAE. Is UAE also like the Philippines, or you need to say the UAE?
The
That's what I
in
The
the
thought.
UAE.
UAE.
In the
Yeah, the
UAE.
UAE. So just make sure you don't drop that article at the beginning. And you also said sometimes my AC would be broke. So let's say sometimes my AC would be broken,
Okay.
instead of just broke. Um, and then we talked about methods of getting news and how you receive the news and fake news and how it would change in the future. You said mainly here we have the television. You talked about nowadays. I'd hazard a guess, and you said, well, it depends on the source. You talked about some vocabulary words that you used were craziness, breaking news, social media, broadcast, fake news. And I loved how you said, I don't have a crystal ball. So I thought that was hilarious, but very good. And I think it was a great phrase to say. You don't have a crystal ball, and some people are probably thinking, "What does she mean?" But you know what it means, and I know what it means. So good job. You cannot read into the future, is basically what you're saying. And you said you needed to talk and look at a source's track record and if they were reliable. So those are just some really good vocabulary things that you used. And you also stayed on topic very well. You stayed on topic and you expanded on all of your answers. So good job there. All right. So let's talk
Thank
about
you.
number 2, part 2. Jeff, I think you might have walked away a little bit in part 2. So Christelle, I wanted to ask, Christelle has this experience that is very emotional for her, and it still makes her a little bit upset. Would this be something that she should or should not try to touch on?
Actually, it's good that she's showing emotion on that part.
So I think it's good that you're showing
Yep.
emotion. The only problem we ran into is she wasn't able to get to
Yep.
all of the parts of the question because she was feeling so much emotion at the time.
So don't make sure that your emotion will affect your performance. So don't choose that topic.
So if you can talk about it and detach yourself from the feelings, go for it. And a way to detach yourself from it may be to write it down. And you're just reading this and it's not about you, it's about somebody else. But if you can't detach yourself from it and it's going to slow you down and not let you answer all the parts, it might be better to pick something else. But the good thing that you did is you pick something, you have emotion about it, you have the intonation and the inflection in your voice. You made me want to cry, which is not. But
also, okay,
go ahead.
just
go
go
ahead.
on.
No, you go ahead.
Because they said before in part 2, they have as I've been trying to practice with a one-on-one body or in the speaking community here in the IELTS, they have mentioned that you should show the emotion, right? But for me, it's a real scenario what happened with regards to the accident. So they said you have to keep the intonation. It had to be in line with what you are saying. If example, if you're happy, you have to make it like that. But maybe somehow, I am guilty that I somehow.
I think your intonation and all of that is fine. I just think that because it had such a profound effect on you, and because you still sound upset. I mean, I would still be upset. Like, I have a daughter. She was born with a birth defect 13 years ago. She almost died. Every time I talk about it, I can't stop myself from crying. So I try not to talk about it unless I'm with someone who I can break down with. You don't want to break down on the IELTS exam because they're timing you. So unfortunately, they can't be kind to you and say, oh, it's okay, here's the tissue, let's start over. They're not going to do that. So you have to pick something that you can handle. But if you want to keep practicing and talking about this thing and get yourself to the point where you can say it with emotion but fully answer, then do it. I
Okay.
think it's a great story. I think it's a great story. You said, I remember this incident I had. It was around 3 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a great introduction. You didn't say, let me tell you about. You just said, I remember. You jumped right in and you told me how long it was
Mm-hmm.
ago. And then you gave me some background. You said, I'm fond of bicycling. And this is something, you were doing this. You were in a pedestrian crossing zone. You used the word suddenly a few times. So
Mm-hmm.
we could have some people in the chat give us some synonyms for suddenly. You can say instantaneously, suddenly, in the blink of an eye, all of the sudden. You were in an intersection and you had to stop, and you told me it is still vivid in my mind, which is a great way of saying it. You can still see it, feel it. I'm sure that noises, smells, anything triggers it. And
Yeah.
you're back there again. And I loved how you said that a lot of people flocked to the area. So that's a great picture, a great
Mm-hmm.
vocabulary word, that they all just kind of surrounded you. You had
Mm-hmm.
a difficult time with the word wheels, but you got it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's because you don't know what wheels are. I think it's because you were upset. So that
Yeah.
these wheels were the thing that was going to harm you. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, of course you would
Yeah.
forget about them. And I liked how you said with just a snap. So, but we weren't able to finish when my timer went off. You still had more to say. So within the 2 minutes, you were not able to say if there was long-term damage and what you learned. So those 2 bullet points were missed because of
Mm-hmm.
the feeling of the first 2 bullet
Mm-hmm.
points.
But I remember I was able to say that thank God there are no. I was grateful that there was no
Lo-
any
you just had
major.
scratches. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Good. Okay.
Maybe I
And then,
was able to touch on that on after the 2 minutes, so it might
yeah.
not be counted.
And then after the 2 minutes, you were able to say what you learned from this event too. Like it gave
Mm-hmm.
you a second chance at life. And you don't take it for granted. And yeah, that you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
very careful when you're bicycling. And so then we
Mm-hmm.
moved on to part 3. I think you are the person that I have talked to that has had the most to say about part 3. And it could be just that you and the topics go well together. Maybe if I gave you space, it wouldn't be so easy, but you had a lot to say. What measures does the government take to reduce car accidents? So I'm going to go over the part that you had the least trouble with, which is pronunciation. The only word I heard was immediate. So could you say immediate for me one more time?
Immediate.
Good.
Immediate.
And when you first said it to me, it almost sounded like immediate, like it had a J in it.
Ah,
But you
okay.
pronounced it perfectly that time.
Immediate. Immediate.
Immediate.
Okay.
Yep. And then you said, well, there are a lot of things as far as I know. You also
Mm-hmm.
said on top of that, which I love that you use that to continue saying what you were doing. So here's some of the words that you used. Independent, prevent, fines, violators, abide. Instead of following rules, you talked about abiding by the rules. You talked about pedestrian crossing, dedicated vehicles, continuously. You said people were obedient. And then you were talking about that you said it depends on the area if people are going to follow the rules or not. Unfortunately, where you are from, they seem to not follow the rules of the road
Mm-hmm.
as compared to the UAE because you
Mm-hmm.
felt the UAE gets so many fines, and
Yeah.
that's an incentive to follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Exactly.
then we were talking about medical facilities, which you seem to have a lot of knowledge on. You said there are tons of medical facilities, which is a great expression. You talked about hospitals and clinics, and you talked about communicable diseases. Wow, that was perfectly pronounced. Good job there. And
Perks
then,
of being a nurse.
yeah, I know, right? You learn all these hard words. One thing I wanted to mention that you said, talking about rules, you said people be oriented to the rules, and you just want to make sure that you want to say they are oriented. So
Okay. Okay.
they are oriented. And you said they are strict with the giving of the fines in the UAE. So just an easier way to say it is they are strict in giving fines. You don't have to say strict with the giving of the. They are
It's
strict with
strict
giving
in
fines.
giving fines.
Yeah,
Okay.
in giving fines or with giving fines. You did mention something. You said that you were something about being focused with the hospitals. So if you're focused, you want to be focused on something instead of focused with it. Does that make sense? So
Focus
focused
on.
on hospitals instead of with. You
Okay.
also talked about the need for budgeting, proper supplies. They need to empower nurses and doctors, allocated money. So it's budgeting and allocating, and those are two on the same thread, and you use that. You said it makes everyone suffer. Things are ill-equipped. You said, well, there are tons of things we can do to improve. So that's another great way of saying it. Just you use tons twice, so we can think of a different way of saying that.
Okay.
You say, well, we have a lot. I'd say the government are. One thing I want to mention is when you're using government, you say government are a lot. So let's say government is. So
Okay.
as a singular. And then I really loved when you said when I asked you about, is the standard of medical care in your country good? People are typing too. You said, I wish. And then you said, I want to say yes, but between you and me, like you were telling me some kind of secret here. But I got your meaning in your words and in your tone, the way that you said it. And then, yeah, you, like, it was just really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
The hardest part was part 2 for you. And I think that is something you just want to weigh. Is this something I can talk about? For me, if I had to talk about something like my daughter's illness, I wouldn't pick it. I would pick something else because I would waste all my time. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mandy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm about to take the test tomorrow. So
again, are you guys all going together? Is it like a party?
So that's why I asked Sir Jeff. I thought we need to book in advance, and then I said, "Oh my God, maybe I missed the boat already." And
no, you didn't miss the boat.
Thank you, Sir Jeff. I need to
well,
be
actually,
assessed by the native speaker.
Yeah, I prioritize especially for those who are gonna take exam very soon.
Yeah.
So at least everyone, if you want to take the mock or the practice test, make sure, especially it's like at least within the week if you have exam, so you need to raise your hand here because I will prioritize you.
Yeah, say what you need. Good. That was awesome.
So, Mandy, how overall assessment? No, not the band, but overall, what can you say? Just in general, I don't want the band score or anything.
Yeah,
in general,
I mean, part 2, you had a ton. We already talked about part 2, my feelings on that. And it's going to change depending on what your question is. It may not be something that, that gets you emotionally, that kind of gets you. Just be aware that you and I don't know about you, but I am an easy crier. Something can make me cry at the drop of a hat. So just take some breaths and use that. I didn't hear a lot of ums, which I thought was excellent. You did a good job on that. And you do have no issue. Like when it says on here, speaks at length without noticeable effort or loss of coherence, that is you to a T.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
You speak at length. I don't know. Jeff is more experienced with part 3. Will they cut her off if she's talking too long?
Yes, definitely. So it's make sure that if you want to attack the part 3 question, should be like very precise, and as well as you need to give a clear reason why, and you can add example, but make sure you have a good flow, because I could say on the part 3, although you have ideas, but the flow, I could say it's not that clear. Yep.
Yeah, just make sure that if you're gonna say stuff on part 3, that you're not repeating the same thing, but just saying it in a different way.
Okay.
So there's specific points that you're going to go over.
Okay. Sir Jeff, sorry. I just want to ask for part three, what is the maximum time on each question for you to
Well,
uh,
this
the length?
yep. As per advice of IELTS examiner or expert, at least 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
1 minute tops. Okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Make sure you will not go around the bush. When you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
when you will talk in 1 minute.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you,
they
sir.
want you to get straight to the point,
Mm-hmm.
straight to the answer. So, okay. I think
Okay.
Sejal, thank you for coming, Christelle, and good luck.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Mandy. Thank
much.
you. Thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
Thank you
of
so
course.
Really
much,
appreciate it.
Christelle.
Yeah.
Okay, our next candidate would
Thank
be
you. Thank you.
Is
bye.
Sejal gonna try?
Good luck yet, Sejal.
Hello, sir. Right now,
Wow,
Yay!
finally.
sorry for
Very.
before.
No
That's
worries.
okay. It
Go.
My
happens.
laptop not support me is that time. Sorry for that.
What was that?
My laptop was not support me is that time. Sorry for that. Right now, I
Oh,
am connected with my mobile.
okay. Okay. That's okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna start with part one. Are you ready?
Yes.
Excuse me, Mandy,
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
because Sejal is not a Filipino. I'm curious. Sejal, where you from? Could you please tell us a little background of you? Like, what do you do for a living?
I am from India, mainly in the city of Ahmedabad, which is situated in the north part of the Gujarat and well-known city for the diamond and textile market.
And what do you do, Sejal?
Right now, I am software engineer, and right now I am working as a freelancer for foreign client.
Great. Awesome. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let's get started. Do you like a house or a flat or an apartment?
Uh, I love to apartment because it is very convenient for me. For example, right now I am living in the 10-story apartment on the seventh floor, and my apartment consider uh, three bedroom, kitchen, and hall, and it is very comfy and spacious for me.
Good. Okay. And what do you usually do in your apartment?
Mostly, you know that India is the diverse country and bunch of festival are celebrated here. So we mostly together celebrate our festival here, as well as occasionally means we attend the marriage ceremony. Who is the living in this apartment, as well as sometimes the birthday parties and so on in the
Good.
ground of our apartment.
Okay. And can you describe the previous place where you lived?
Uh, to be honest, I am living here since my childhood. Means that my father migrated here when I was 2 years old. So I not exactly remember all, but I heard from my father. Uh, we was we lived in the past in the tenement house, but it is some noisy places, and that's why my father moved here.
Good. Okay. And which part of your apartment do you like the most?
It is very interesting question. I mostly love living room of my apartment because it is very spacious and connected with the use balcony, which allows me to daily morning take the cup of tea with my father, as well as the sofa are very comfy, and I always sit together with my family members and see the TV as well. So it is a very interesting part for me.
Good. And then, should we live in a house or an apartment?
Uh, in my point of view, I love the apartment. So in future, I also definitely love to the apartment. But if I got a chance, then I transfer my apartment from I transfer my accommodation from hustle bustle to very calm places.
Good. Okay. All right. Do you have a pencil? We'll move on to part two. Do you have something to
Yes,
write with? Okay,
yes.
good. All right. So Jeff is going to put the question on the screen. And I'm going to put a timer up, and I will give you 1 minute after I finish reading. Okay. Describe a time you borrowed something from your family or friend. You should say what you borrowed, who you borrowed it from, what you borrowed it for, and explain why it was useful to you. And you can have a minute starting now. Okay. And then whenever you are ready, I will start the 2-minute timer, Sejal.
I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
My parents always try to provide me everything I required. I don't even need to demand anything from them. But here I would like to talk about one situation. Is that time my parents was not able to provide me, and that time I borrowed the books from my friend. It was the time when I was in the ninth standard, and my exam day is very near. I am burning to midnight oil to get good to get good score in all subjects. But unfortunately, I lost my mathematics books, and it is difficult to prepare without the book. Unfortunately, this book was not available is that time into the market as well, and my friend not ready to give me this book, and it was the sound reason for them because they were also want to get a good score. But suddenly my neighborhood friend Kajal came to at my home and saw me this gloomy mood. She asked me what happened. Then I told them about this situation, and I am surprised and shocked to so I am shocked to listen her. She told me that he have kept their previous year books, and she was studying in my school as well, and she was in 1 year forward to me, but we both are studying in same school. That's why our book are similar. That's why our book were similar. So she suddenly went their home uh, and and gave me the books, and I am very appreciate for him. I appreciate for his, and really he is really she is a god for she was a
Okay.
god for me at that time.
Okay, good. Good, excellent. Awesome, good job, Sejal. You okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, we'll move on to part 3.
Okay.
Okay, and then we will be almost done. Okay. All right, Sejal, in a typical family, who plays the leading role?
Uh, it's a little bit difficult because I always see my father. He is leading my family. He needs to required to fulfill all family members' demand, as well as sometimes it anyone to do argue. Then it is also his responsibility to balance them and give them accurate advice. That's why it's not happening in the next time. So I think it is very tough to lead the any family.
Good. Okay. In your country, what kinds of family members usually get you? I'm sorry. In your country, what kinds of family members usually live together?
In my country, I live in the traditional. I live in the south part of the India, and mostly family are prefer to live in the joint family. Means that grandparents, parents, and their child are live in the one roof. Nowadays it's trend some like little bit change, and mostly love to stay their own house, but mostly people prefer to live in the under one roof, grandparents, parents, and child.
Okay, good. And then what would children do to make their parents proud?
There are bunch of things which can do by the childs to make their parents too proud on him. Uh, it's if they are become the very honest person and get good result in the exam, then parents it's proud on him, as well as they help anyone needy people. Then also in my area, the parents are really proud of him and inspired him to do this same work, as well as when anyone's child doing work as a voluntary, then also the parents proud on him.
Good. Okay. And what are parents' responsibilities for their children?
It's very interesting question, but I think parents are more responsible for their child. Means that it is needed to provide their child's good education, as well as understand them to what is wrong and what is right, what is good for their future and what is bad for their future. It means that they define the difference between wrong and right, and how to become a good person in their life. That is also responsibility of their parents.
Good. Okay. And then what's the influence of parents on their children?
There are lots of things. Means that always children try to follow their parents. Means that if their parents is behave like polite, and it's give the uh, gives the sorry for elder, then they follow them, and also they are become they are try to become same like him. For example, my grandfather always tell us that become a punctual person in your life. So I all are follow them, and right now I am consider myself as a punctual person. So it is a good role.
Okay, good. Excellent. All right, that concludes the speaking portion of your test. You're done. You
Oh,
can
thank you, ma'am.
you can relax. Good. How did you feel?
I am very nervous. It's my
Yeah.
first speaking in front
Yeah.
of foreign people.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're very brave.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, no problem. Good. Okay. Well, let's just go over the different parts. And if anyone has anything they want to add or words they want to help us with, just make sure you type them in there. Okay. And I asked you first about an apartment or a flat. And I used apartment or flat, but do you know the term flat already?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that if someone said flat to you, you would know that they also meant apartment. Okay. And then you said, I love to apartment. So just want to make sure I say, I love my apartment, or I love the apartment, or I love apartments.
I love to in the apartment.
So instead of saying, I love doing the apartment, you can say, I love living in an apartment. Because you're not doing anything to it, but you're living in it. Good. And I liked how you said it was a 10-story apartment, and you told me what it consists of, and you told me the different rooms that were in the apartment, so you gave me some more information on it. And then what do you usually do in your apartment? And you said that you have different kinds of events there, birthday parties, marriage ceremonies, and you have sort of celebrations.
Festival.
Yeah, and festivals. And let's practice the word marriage. Can you say marriage for me?
Marriage.
Marriage. Good. Excellent. Good. All right. And then I also asked you about the place where you previously lived, and I think you did a great job, especially since you never remembered it since you were a child. You said, to be honest, I am living here since I was a child. So instead of saying, I am living here, you can say, I have been living here since I was a child. And then instead of your own memories, you told me, my father told me. So that was a way to kind of get around not knowing the information, but using what your dad has told you. So you did a good job there. And I like that you used the word tenement house and the word accommodation. Those are some good vocabulary words that you used. And which part of your home do you like the most? And should we live in a flat or a house? You said, I mostly love the living room. And you said it's very big and spacious. And you said, which allows me daily, every morning, to have tea with my father. So let's look at that sentence, which allows me. And then you said daily and every morning. So that's two kind of the same things right there. So you don't have to say both. You can say, which allows me to have tea with my father daily. Yeah, to have tea with my father daily, or to have tea with my father every morning. So either one of those works good. And then you also mentioned the sofa are very comfortable. So if it's one sofa, it is comfortable. If it's sofas, they are comfortable. So how many do you have? Do you have one or more than one?
Two sofas are very comfy.
Good. The sofas are very comfortable. Good. And then I liked how you said, in my point of view, which is another good beginning that you gave me. And you also said, so in future, so make sure you say, so in the future. In the future. Good. Okay. So let's talk about part 2. I love how you said, your parents have always tried to provide for you. So you started off with sort of a generalization about needing things. And that was a great introduction. My parents have always generally provided for me. However, there was this situation where you lost your math book and no one would share with you. Okay. And you said, but unfortunately, and then suddenly, and you were talking about your friend, and they saw one friend would not allow you to use their textbook. I wanted to let you know that I wasn't sure if it was a boy or a girl, because sometimes you said he or him, and sometimes you said she or her. Yes, so who would not give you the book? Was it a boy? It had to be a boy.
She is
it was a girl?
She is a girl.
Oh, okay. And then who was farther ahead of you in school? Who gave you the book? Was it a girl?
Yes, she is girl.
Okay, so
right
make sure.
Now she is my friend as well.
Oh, she's still your friend. Okay, good. Good. And so you said
she is studying in previous year for me. It is a real thing.
Yeah,
but
it's a real story.
He kept their book always with her. He never sell their book. She never sell their books.
Okay, she always kept them.
Yeah,
and that's your good fortune that she kept them. Yeah, good. And so I want to make sure that when you're telling a story in the past, if you're going to use past tense, that you stay in the past tense. So you said, I am burning the midnight oil. So you say, I was burning the midnight oil. And then my friend is not ready to give you a book. She was not ready to give you the book. And you said, I am shocked to listen to her. I was shocked because she had the books and you were amazed that she had them.
I understand.
And then one thing that you also said, she was in 1 year forward to me. So were you in Form 9 and she was in Form 10?
Yes.
Okay, so a way that we can say that just a little easier, instead of she was in 1 year forward to me, you can say she was 1 year ahead of me.
Okay.
1 year ahead. And then if the person is lower than you, you can say they are 1 year behind. Okay, and then you also said, I am very appreciate. So instead of I'm very appreciate, you can say, I was very appreciative. Appreciative. Good.
Yeah.
And what kind of mood did your friends see you in? I love the word that you used. I just want to make sure you pronounced it. You said she saw that I was in it starts with a G. Gloomy?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you say gloomy for me again?
Gloomy.
Gloomy. Good. You said she saw that you were in a gloomy mood. That's a great way of saying it. Excellent. She sounds like a good friend. Okay. And then part 3, I want to make sure that you understood my question, because I said, in a typical family, who plays the leading role? And then you said, it is a little bit difficult. And you talked about, so did you mean that it was difficult for your dad to be the leader? Or that dads are the leader in a typical family? Yeah. So you said, so instead of saying it's a little bit difficult, or you could say this is a difficult question, in my family, my dad is the leader. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. And you were talking about, we asked the question, what kinds of family members usually live together? So you said grandparents, parents, and what else did you say?
And the child.
Good. And the child or the children?
Yes.
Yeah. Grandparents, parents, and children. And I love the term that you said. Yeah, I love the term that you said, are living under one roof. That's a great term right there. A good phrase. And we also talked about what can children do to make their parents proud. There are a bunch of ways which can do by a child to make their parents proud on him. So I like how you said that. There are a bunch of things. So let's fix that sentence really quick. There are a bunch of things that a child can do to make their parents proud.
Okay.
So instead of saying proud on him, just say make proud.
Make proud of him.
Yes, of instead of on. Good. Proud of him. Perfect. Yeah. So if I can say, Sejal, I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
Instead of proud on you. Good. Perfect. Good. And then I asked you, what are parents' responsibilities? And you were talking about to inspire their children and education and find things that tell them how to be good for the future. And you gave a specific example of your grandfather teaching you that being punctual is a good trait. So
it's reality, remember.
Yeah, it is. It's very
punctual.
Yeah, it's very important. And I'm sure that he is appreciative that you are punctual. If people in the chat could give us a synonym for the word proud, because this is a word that was used a lot. So we could use proud and we could use some other synonyms that mean proud. And you said if their parents is, so instead of saying parents, because parents is, what would be a better way to say it? If their parents are, you've got it. That's perfect. You did it. And then you said they are try to become same like him. So instead of saying they are, they try. Yep. You don't even have to say they are. You can just say they try to become
same like them.
To become the same like him or similar as him, the same as him. Good. And I know this might be more of where you are living in an accent thing. When you say words that start with a W, just make sure you don't touch your teeth and change it into a V. So wedding instead of vetting. So can you say wedding?
Wedding.
Wedding and we.
Wedding and
Good, excellent. That I don't speak to too many people from India, but the Filipino people know they have trouble saying TH, and other countries have trouble saying different sounds. I have trouble speaking. Yeah, it's whatever you bring from your mother tongue to English, and that's going to influence how you say it. But I think you did an excellent job, especially for your very first time in front of all of these foreigners.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're
Can you
welcome.
tell me my score?
Oh, I'm not supposed to. Can I say that out loud? I'm not supposed to give a score. Oh, geez. When are you taking the IELTS examination? Do you have one scheduled yet?
Yes, 10th October. I have booked my date on 10th October.
The 10th of October?
Yes.
So that's about a month from now, exactly.
Yes.
Okay, good. I don't know, Jeff. Can you help me out here? I'm not
Yeah,
allowed to give a score technically.
Sejal, I think if Mandy could just only give like a general parts that you need to work on or your strength, but you already mentioned about your strength, so I think
Yeah,
only the
I
part
would
that
really
you need to
work
work
on some
on.
grammar.
Yeah.
Yeah, some grammatical and range and accuracy. Just making sure that the grammar fits and you're staying in one tense or another tense, and those he and she.
Yes.
Making sure when you say she, you mean she, and even if you want to change the gender, just keep it consistent. It doesn't have to be the real gender. Just stay with
Yes.
he or stay with she, and don't change it.
Yes. It's two major mistakes.
Yeah.
Grammar or
I
he or
Yeah.
she.
I think Mandy, you can just only mention. Do you think she's ready now, or she needs to prepare more?
I would say don't take it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say more preparation, especially since this is your first time talking in front of a large group. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I would just say more talking, more listening. And I know that's easy for me to say because everyone around me speaks English. And that's harder for you. But yeah, take
Around
advantage.
for me, everyone speak in Gujarati only.
Okay.
Yeah, take advantage of the group as much as you can, and even if you're not the one speaking and your mic is muted, you can say what they're saying over again. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
just keep talking.
Um, I will I will just add, Sejal, and to everyone, especially on part three, because part three is general topic, so you need to answer in general answer. Like on your first question was, describe. It's like no, not describe. It's about who's leading the role of the typical family. So you mentioned your father. Well, actually, it's about is it a man or woman? Like, about gender.
Yeah,
Okay.
so making it less personal, I think is what.
Yes,
Yeah.
in last we include the general topic. Means
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
so
not consider
so
any
you could
personal
say
experience.
in a typical family in India, the father is the leader of the family. I mean, is she allowed to say this is also
Elder
true in my
person,
family?
Yeah.
elder person also we can say that elder person always handling the family.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Okay,
Sejal.
sticking
thank
with us and
you.
fixing your microphone.
Yep. And
Thank you so much.
Mandy,
I'm sorry for that.
no
Oh,
problem. No
we were
worries.
going to do that. I don't want to take everybody's time, but if
Yeah.
people don't want to stay for the map, uh,
The
they
first
don't
question.
have to.
Yep.
So
Go.
yeah, you can talk, Jeff. Go ahead.
Mandy is now gonna show us about on the part two question about describing topic, how you will generate ideas or how will you also
Organize.
organize your answer.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember. Sorry that we talked to somebody. So somebody asked the question, mind mapping, Maria. It was somebody asked the question, but it was the second speaker. Who was the second speaker? Is she already gone? Oh, what was her name? Was it Maria Consuelo?
Yeah, I think Mandy, because someone passed and the pastor said that she got your style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she used it. So I was going to use Maria Consuelo's as an example because she talked about something expensive that she had bought. And so the question was specifically, describe the most expensive object you have ever purchased. So in the middle, you write the object, which was some kind of facial spa thing. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. Maybe she'll type it in there for me. And then it said, you're going to say what the object was, which that's in the middle, how you afforded it, what happened to it, and how this purchase influenced or changed your life. So how you afforded it. So this is what the object is. She gave me the brand name, which I can put in the middle, but you might want to specifically say it is what it is. So you can say it's a lady's skincare product or tool, a lady's skincare tool. And so that way, if you're talking to an examiner, you're not isolating them and making them think, what is this specific product? So it's a lady's skincare tool. You can say how you afforded it. Well, she did a payment plan, and she found a promotion that let her pay over time. And we talked about it let her pay in installments. And yeah, so she got to pay in installments, payment plan. It was a promotion. What happened to it? Well, she told me that she has never even opened it. It is still in the box. And she told me why it's still in the box, because she's using it as a reward for herself. So I know this looks really messy, but that's what happened to it. It's never been opened. It's sitting in a box, and it is my reward for passing my IELTS examination. And then how this purchase influenced or changed your life. And I think that's where we ran out of what she could say. If anyone else wants to say how I'm just going to pretend it's my object and how it influenced my life. It motivated me to practice every day on my IELTS examination because I wanted this product. I wanted to open it. I wanted to give myself a gift, and I wanted to get my money's worth out of it. And I wanted to look good. So it can motivate you. And then it's also easy to just add some little words in here. So that's just one way that you can mind map. I know everybody does it completely different. Some people write outlines. Some people do boxes. It's just whatever works. So if anyone ever in the group wants to share how you do it, I think that would be awesome, so other people could see different ideas, because this is not going to work for everybody. You have to pick what works for you.
Okay, I think I will add only on the top, Mandy, because it's very important on part 2. You need to be careful if it's happened in the past or asking for you in the future. So you need to put up if it's past, so at least you will focus on past tense.
Yeah, okay. I think that would be a great idea, especially if you're someone who has trouble with past tense. You can make a note for yourself, past tense. Like, you can just say, I know I have a trouble with that, past tense, unless you want to get like a tattoo that says past tense or something. I don't know. Or a tattoo that says the Philippines, not Philippines.
So yeah. So again, before we end this, Mandy, thank you so much, because we have 3 passers for
Yeah.
for
Good
today.
job,
So,
everybody.
so they said that please say to Mandy that thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah, of
All the
course.
gratitude.
Yeah, thank you
Okay.
guys.
So everyone, I think this is the end of our session tonight. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming. And Mandy, like every day, we want to say thank you for all your hard work and sharing your skills.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you
So,
guys.
guys,
Bye.
stay safe. Bye.
Bye.